What's up, guys? We are back with another Power Rangers Lightning Collection review. Today we're taking a look at the Red Ranger from Beast Morphers, the latest show, but not the most recent Sentai that has been adapted. So we've got Go Busters Red Ranger here. I'm not watching Beast Morphers, so I don't know a great deal about the story for this one, but I'm still pretty excited to take a look at this guy. He looks pretty solid by all accounts. So, of course, you've got him here in a standard box for this line, artwork on the front, figure in the window, great presentation as usual, artwork on the side, and then you've got a render of our figure on the back. So let's do it. Let's pull him out and take a look. And here we go. We've got our first Beast Morphers figure in the Lightning Collection in this wave, our Red Ranger, or your Go Busters Red, depending on if you're familiar with the Sentai or not. I have not watched Beast Morphers, so I really have no idea what they're doing. I know they've changed things up a decent bit from Go Busters, but I'm very familiar with Go Busters, so I kind of know what's going on with the suit. And for the most part, I think this is a pretty solid figure. There is some interesting stuff going on here, and he moves really well, all things considered. So let's take a look at that first, well, as usual. So the head can look up a little bit. The helmet's going to hit the back of the neck pretty quickly. He can look down a little bit, and then you've got rotation as usual. Arms go out more than 90, rotate at the shoulder. You've got your butterfly joint as well, bicep swivel, double jointed elbows, so pretty good range of motion there. Hinges and rotation at the wrist. You've got your upper diaphragm joint at the torso there, and then of course you've got your crunch. So he goes all over the place, which helps with his movement quite a bit. Legs go out pretty decently. They kick forward all the way. They kick backwards a little bit. You've got your thigh cut. Of course, we've got double jointed knees, as is the case with all these figures. You've got a boot cut, which is pretty well hidden. It's really seamless there. And then you've got your hinges, and you've got rockers down at those ankles. So he's pretty standard, for the line, but he does move really well. There's really nothing that gets in the way of anything except for his helmet kind of hitting the back and the front of his neck. But otherwise, he has a really good range of motion and moves around just fine. Now, as far as the overall look and feel here, I think for the most part, they've got this look down pretty well. There maybe is a little bit of a difference between some of the molded versus painted reds on this guy, but it's pretty minimal, and realistically, they got the look down really, really well here. There is a lot of different stuff going on in this particular figure than pretty much any other Ranger that we have gotten so far. Well, as far as standard Rangers, because he's a standard Ranger. He is the Red Ranger of this show, so he's not like Magnet Defender, or he's not like Goldar. He's not one of those type of figures that is wildly different, but he does still have a very different look compared to just about any other Ranger we've gotten so far, because these guys are a little different. They basically wear just sort of modified civilian clothes for the most part. They don't really have the spandex type of suits that most Rangers wear. They've got a nice big zipper that runs down the front here, and they kind of have like just a jacket on, and this look works really well. I've watched the show a couple times, the Go Busters version of the show, the original Sentai, because it came out almost 8 years ago now, and I think for the most part they've got this look down really, really nicely. It is for the most part just a jacket with some pants on, but I think that they've got the sculpt down really nicely. You've got some nice metallic silver for the zipper here, for the buckle, for the inside of the arms. Paint's really clean and crisp too. You've got the morpher on the wrist here, which is really nicely done. A little bit of paint there. It's really, really small, so I'm not sure they're going to get tons of detail in there, but the sculpt is nice, and there is enough paint in there to bring some of it out. Some metallic blues, the orange right there, and then of course a little bit of silver. But in general, it's just the look here is well done. I think they captured the essence of what this suit looks like and boiled it down to plastic pretty well. You've got your straps here, which really do nothing for the suit itself. It's just a floating piece. But what it really does is it helps cover those butterfly joints while also not getting in the way. And then you've got some a little bit of sculpt here on the pants. It's mostly just wrinkles, but there is a few little extra seam lines around the outer areas of the thighs. And then you've got your boots down here, which are painted. So they're a little bit different in color than the molded red here. So this is a little bit darker, a little less vibrant than the reds on the feet here. It's not a huge deal. It's not a deal breaker or anything like that. but it's something that I kind of notice and I can't really not see. But otherwise, I think they've absolutely nailed a look at this figure. I think that for the most part, maybe for folks who really aren't so up to date on this particular look, because maybe, you know, a lot of folks like myself are really into it for some of the older stuff. Well, I'm into it for everything, but a lot of folks my age maybe are into this for some of the older stuff. They aren't familiar with this particular suit, but you probably find some cool stuff to appreciate once you actually get this figure in hand. And that doesn't even mention the head sculpt or the helmet sculpt, which realistically is one of my favorite aspects of this particular Sentai or the Ranger series, because of the fact that the helmets are, you know, again, very much animal based, because this guy is kind of based off of a large cat or a cheetah more specifically, and you've got the kind of spots up here on the top of the head. You've got the very motorcycle type of helmet look, while also retaining that very, very feline type of design with the silver to look like the eyes, and then the rest of that line work to look like the mouth and the nose. But it's just a really clean and smooth head sculpt. I think it works really, really well. And I've said it a number of times, when it comes to the Lightning collection and pretty much any Power Ranger figure, I've always been interested in the extra head sculpts, into having civilian head sculpts, but I will never not display a Power Ranger with anything other than their helmet. So to get a really, really nice, clean, smooth, crisp helmet, especially one that frankly, I just really like this helmet, it's an added bonus, because I think Hasbro just did a bang-up job on this one. Now, as far as accessories goes, our Beast Morphers Red figure has pretty much the same kind of spread that just about every other figure has. All kinds of stuff has been crammed into this box. They really do seem like they're trying to give you everything they can. And while we don't have exactly everything, because these guys have a pretty decent arsenal, I think they gave us a pretty solid spread. So of course, as usual, we have a swappable head for this guy. So we have the Civilian Ranger. So I think this guy's name is Devin in this show. And it's a pretty decent head sculpt. I mean, it definitely looks like the actor. You've got some nice photo printing there. Hair sculpt is really nice. You've even got earrings in the ears. I think really though, you know, even though I'm not ever going to use this head sculpt on my display, I just think it kind of looks a little lifeless. It almost looks kind of dead inside almost, for lack of a better phrase. So it's decent, but it's definitely not on my must-use list for this line. Otherwise, though, he has kind of all the same stuff you would expect to get. So we've got a set of swappable hands. So we've got a set of fists here that you can swap out for the open palm and the trigger finger hand. Of course, you can see here that we've got one of the kind of hallmark weapons for the team here. You've got the sword, and it's got a decent sculpt. It's got some paint on it. It's not exactly covered in paint, but it does have some. So you got some light blue, some metallic blue, you've got some silvers on there. And then you've got his kind of signature gun here. This is a Cheetah Beast Blaster, I think is what it's called. And of course, it kind of looks like a cheetah. You've got the mouth, legs, the tail. It looks really basic. I've seen it compared to one of the actual basic line figure guns, and it almost looks identical, if it isn't identical. So you've got this guy here. And then the last thing that we get, I swear that I just knew what this was, and then for a second, I thought that it was an actual extra gun. So you've got this guy here, and I just thought that I either didn't know what I was looking at or completely misremembered things and thought, well, this is a really weird gun that they gave him for the US show. And it's, well, he can hold it like a gun, and I guess if you wanted to use it like that, it can be some sort of Matrix-y kind of gun, but it's an energy effect, so it actually slips over the sword like this, and it's like an energy effect trailing off of the sword. It's very data themed, because that's a thing for this particular show, and it's done in a nice translucent green-yellow plastic with a lot of sculpt on it. I mean, it's very unique in this line for sure. So despite the fact that I had no idea what I was looking at first, I came to my senses and realized what it did, and I think it looks pretty cool. If anything, this is probably how I'm going to be using this figure, is with the sword and then with this energy effect coming off of it. So at the end of the day, this is another pretty solid Lightning Collection figure. Even if you're not a big fan or even remotely familiar with what Beast Morphers is, I think there's a lot of fun to be had with this figure because, well, it's unique amongst all the other Rangers that we've gotten so far. I know that Gold is in the same wave, but even he looks comparatively different to Red. He's kind of a whole different thing on his own. And it's just a fun figure, and I'm a big fan of these suits. I love the Sentai that this figure comes from. Again, I've not watched the American Ranger show. I'm not sure that I'm ever going to actually do that, but I'm happy that we're getting these now. I'm glad that this new season is getting its due in a more collector-focused toy line already, and it's a fun figure. It's got some wacky accessories, and it's pretty much got everything that you really need, for the most part anyway. So that's going to do it for this look at the Power Rangers Lightning Collection Beast Morphers Red figure. Let me know what you guys think. Feel free to like, comment, subscribe, and share, that whole deal, and until next time.